Okay, here's something just a tiny bit different. Candy Floss grapes, or cotton candy, I believe the variety is. We'll just have a look at that label in a minute. This is a variety of grapes called cotton candy, supposedly with a flavour like cotton candy or candy floss as we call it in the UK. They look a little bit more golden, sort of yellow brown than standard green grapes, but not a lot else to say about that. I'm going to cut off a small bunch and I'll go and wash them and we'll give them a taste. Perhaps a couple of small bunches. Artificially flavoured grapes in any way. They are just grapes that have been grown and bred and selected for a specific flavour profile. Let's have a little taste. There definitely is a distinctive flavour to them. And I can see where they're getting candy floss from. I wouldn't say it tastes like candy floss, but they have got a slight caramel sweetness to them. The kind of sweetness that you would normally expect to smell rather than taste. In fact, what this kind of tastes a bit like is Concord grapes, purple Concord grapes. There's just a little hint of that kind of aromatic sweetness in these grapes. Quite nice. I'm not a massive fan of grapes under normal circumstances. I tend to think they're a little bit uninteresting. But these are quite nice. I think what I'm going to do now, I've noticed there's a bit of a difference. There's some really big ones. There are some that are very much more yellow than others. I presume they're just more ripe. So I'm going to try those as well. So we've got some big green ones and some smaller golden yellow ones. Going to wash them and taste them as well. Okay, so yeah, the golden ones, I think it's just ripeness because they are falling off the stalks. Still crisp. I would say if anything they lack a bit of that candy floss aroma. And this big green one, which is presumably a bit less ripe. So interesting that the distinctive flavour and aroma of these grapes is more prevalent in the less ripe examples. So there we go, candy floss grapes, and that cost me £3. I think it's 800 grams in this pack, which is not bad for grapes. It's a little bit more expensive than usual for grapes, but not bad. When I made the 2 videos about the ball chain fountain effect, I used a program called AlgoDo, which is a free physics simulation sandbox, to try to replicate the chain and beaker with, let's say, variable success. This program's really good and it's really fun to play with, and it's free. It does seem to have some problems with concave shapes, especially interlocking concave shapes, and also the more objects you have on screen, the more random and chaotic things tend to get. So here's some nice music and a few outtakes of my laughable attempts to simulate the ball chain fountain. Okay, time for a little garden update. The Chilean guava's doing really well. Lots of nice fruit on there. Won't be ripe for another month or so yet. Loquat plant doing very nicely. Probably not going to produce very many more leaves now this season, but it's done really well. My peppers, a bit of a mixed bag really. We've got some peppers forming on here. I think I probably might have neglected this for watering a little bit, but we've got, you know, we've got a few things, some nice curly ones there. This plant's looking a little bit sad. Maybe there's something wrong with this one, I don't know. We did have some tomatoes and they had blight. I don't know if the peppers can get blight from the tomatoes. The herbs that I picked for my dried herb flowers are nearly all finished flowering now. That's the way it goes. But there are still bees buzzing around, enjoying the last of the flowers. The peppers here are doing a little bit better. So this is where I picked most of the decent ones from. There's some nice sizable peppers in there. More of those wax peppers. And then some purplish ones at the back there. I don't know if you can quite see them. There's one lurking underneath. Jenny's cucamelons have done really well. They've occupied all of that mesh there. And our runner beans are doing really well, although we have got some black fly, just a little bit of black fly right there. So sometimes people ask me about pests and diseases and how I deal with garden pests. And generally we just ignore them. We don't spray or anything like that. We just kind of work around them. And so we might hose those black fly off. I might try and introduce a ladybird or two to see if it will munch those. But actually you can see there are ants farming those black fly. The ants will suck honeydew from the back end of these aphids basically. So the black fly suck the sap, but in order to get the nutrients they need, they have to drink more sap than they can possibly process. And so they excrete a kind of sugar syrup. And the ants are farming them here. Basically, the ants have moved them onto this branch probably so that they can have the waste product. And we have got some caterpillars here. These are large white caterpillars, I think, cabbage whites. And the caterpillars have gone from the nasturtiums here onto my peppers. And I think that pepper plant there had some peppers on it earlier in the week and the caterpillars have eaten them, but never mind. It's all a bit of give and take really with a lot of these things. And speaking of give and take, here's something that was a complete surprise to us. So this plant here is some kind of squash or pumpkin that we just didn't plant. This came through the compost. It must have been a seed that we discarded into the compost, and it's survived all the way through, and it's produced this rather fine looking squash. We've no idea what this is actually, because I don't recall eating a squash that shape and colour last year, but there could be several reasons why this is different from anything we recognise. One is that the squash that we consumed might be an F1 hybrid, which doesn't typically come true from seed, so the offspring may be quite different from the parents. Another possibility is that the seed has been in the compost for more than a year, so it might be from the year before last. But I don't remember. I don't remember ever buying a squash that was this shape, but maybe I did. So yeah, one other possibility is I just don't remember eating a squash that shape. And finally, I suppose it's possible that this thing might change a little bit before it's fully mature. It's got some more growing to do. I've put it on a board there to keep it off the soil. Hopefully that'll keep the woodlice away from it and give it a chance to develop to full size. So we've just got to keep watering that and see what it turns into. That's kind of it for the garden. We've got courgettes still coming here. Starting to go over a little bit now, but we're still picking courgettes off of these plants here. Or zucchini, you might know them as. And that's it for the garden update. But I did promise in previous videos an update on the moai head. So here's that. Now interestingly, there's kind of
no patina at all on it. So whatever's happened here is really all just washed away. And I'm just going to have to wait and let nature take its course on this, I think. I did take the test panels down that I had on the fence because I got to the point where they were all exactly the same. So over a long period of time, all of those treatments that you might add to concrete to try to patternize it just balance out to the same. Ultimately, all of the test pads look the same after 2 years.
I'm quite fond of these Polish Kabanosy. I don't know if I'm saying that right. In case you're not familiar with these, it's a kind of dried sausage, kind of a bit like salami, but it comes in these long, thin ropes, like a skipping rope, and typically they're quite fatty and quite salty and quite delicious. I enjoy them most as a beer snack. You can see actually how oily that is. Something like this that's salty, savoury, fatty is ideal for a beer snack, in my opinion. So I often pick up a packet of these when I visit the Polish supermarket, which I did the other day on my way back from the Southampton Wood Recycling Centre. However, somebody spotted that packet on top of my microwave in a different video and told me that they do vegan versions of this. Same brand, they do a vegan variety or a vegan range, and that just seemed really weird to me. That's the kind of comments I really love because that put me on the trail of something different. So in another visit to the same Polish shop, I picked these up, and these are vegan Kabanosy. They are the same brand, same price, £1.99 per pack. Let's just have a look at the ingredients on one of the normal ones. So the regular ones are pork, salt, spices, spice extracts, flavourings, pork protein, wheat fibre, sugar, antioxidant, bacterial cultures, sodium nitrite, edible casing, which is made from gelling agent, sodium alginate, stabiliser, cellulose, calcium chloride. Product may contain soybeans, milk, nuts, celery. On the vegan version, what we've got is soy protein, sunflower oil, water, fried onion, vegetable fat, which is coconut, starch, spices, including peri-peri paprika, contains mustard salt, vegetable fat, flavourings, including smoke flavourings, sugar, yeast extract, beetroot powder, antioxidant, which is sodium ascorbate, ferric diphosphate, vitamin B12, edible casing, same ingredients as that one. So, but I think enough talk. So, I suppose what we ought to do is lay them alongside the meat version. So they look a little bit different, but they are within the range of normal expectations. Before I taste these, there's kind of two ways in which a vegan meat substitute product can succeed, in my opinion. It can succeed by being a really close analogue of the thing it's trying to imitate. It can be a really good and convincing version of that. Or it can be good in its own right. Some of the vegetarian sausages you sometimes see are a bit like that. They're not really like meat-based sausages, but they've got their own qualities that make them good in their own right. Especially the ones made of mushrooms, in my experience. Anyway, we can see there's the same little chunks of fat in here. That's probably coconut oil. And they've got that. They're not quite as glossy as the meat-based version. And they do smell a bit like a soya product. They've got that kind of vegetarian meat aroma to them. Time for a taste. This is the peri peri variety. Okay. Pretty good. Yeah. I mean, one of the wins here for this product is it only has to imitate a minced ground meat product. So it hasn't got to imitate a kind of fibrous muscle texture of meat. That's actually quite good. I think I would know that this is not the regular meat-based product. Let's have a look at the original flavour. Don't worry about these getting wasted. I will definitely find a way to consume all of these. So again, the original version, I haven't actually got the original meat-based one, so it's perhaps not a completely fair comparison, but hopefully we can get an idea anyway. So this is the original flavour, which is a little bit sweeter. Okay, of the two, I would say the peri peri ones are the nicer of those two, mainly because I think they are just lacking something, a tiny little bit of something that you get from a meat product. And in the case of this peri peri variety, the hot chili makes up for that. I think we need to be honest, they haven't got quite the same meaty chew that you get from the meat-based sausages, but they're not far off. And actually, you know, as I say, as a beer snack, I could definitely wash some of that down with a beer. It's a bit early in the day to do that right now, so I shan't be cracking open a beer in this video. But yeah, I think probably the spicy one is really good. The original flavour just maybe tastes like it might be lacking something. Yeah, it's still okay, and I think I'm not going to waste any of this. I definitely will eat these. This little segment was filmed slightly out of sequence. This is what they look like on the inside. So this is the original flavour vegan version. So that's what the peri peri looks like inside. And the pork-based variety there. As you can see, they're quite different inside, although this is a cured one, so this is slightly different from your kind of standard. I probably should have compared against the very standardised pork or chicken Kabanosy. But there we go. So they look a little bit drier on the inside, and I guess that's just because of the way animal fat works versus manufactured vegetable meat analogues. But there you go. Well, I thought that was interesting. I'm not sure I'm quite ready to give up the meat ones yet, because there is definitely something about them that is missing from these vegan versions, but they are good. They are actually getting close. I don't think we can complete this video without an Eva test. So I've got the two varieties here. I've got the regular pork-based and sit down, and the original. I don't think it'd be fair to give her the peri peri because she wouldn't like the spiciness. So the pork-based one first. Oh, we get pause? What about the other one? Thank you. There we go. Yep, no surprises, that disappeared pretty fast. What about this one? Paul? Other one? Good girl. That's the vegan. You're doing it again, aren't you? Sorry, Poppet. Well, she ate it, and with slightly less complaint than she did the fake bacon we had the other day. But I think of the two, she was definitely more impressed with the meat-based one, and there's no surprise there, really. Good girl. I might try some other varieties of these. There's a range of them, like there is with the meat-based ones. But I thought that was quite interesting. I hope you did too. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.